Welcome to Motivational Monday. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. Today, I want to discuss one of the main reasons most investors go into investing with the wrong mind frame, and that creates their biggest Achilles heel. That creates their destruction even before they start. But before we discuss about it, make sure to smash the like button, share, and do subscribe, especially if you find value in this presentation. So this is going back to as long as I can remember. When I first came into the market space and I didn't know how to trade, I didn't know anything about the financial markets, and I had a friend who was a junior analyst, and he wasn't even a junior analyst, he was really just an accountant who was aspiring to be a junior analyst. And later on he did very, very, very well for himself. A few later years than that, he was actually on the front page of the Wall Street Journal as a write-up about him. And I asked him, what should I look for in terms of investing? I was about 23, 24. And so he gave me a tip about a company, but he said to me something very interesting. He said, whatever you can, just realize that you can't control certain things about the future. And as a result of that, you're going to have to just pick them based on their value as opposed to based on their, what they look like. And it didn't really gravitate, the message didn't really gravitate at that point. But years later I understood what he said, because there was a stock tip that he actually gave me, and I put in like $3,000 and I made like something like $50,000 out of this one stock, and it was in a very short period of time. It was something like 3 years. But outside of that, he wanted me to focus on value stocks, or in something that over time will give me some sort of payback. Now, the syndrome that I'm talking about that most investors go into is the predictability investing syndrome, which basically states is that most investors are trying to control the future, and you can't. Okay, that's just the reality of it. We're not prophets. We're not created with the ability to see the foresight of the future. And as a result of that, how do you invest in something that you don't necessarily know that will do well over time? However, you do know. Okay, so let me make the following argument to you. Okay, a company like Coca-Cola, it's a very addictive brand. It's just delicious. And you see year to year that they keep on growing. And it's a very simple reason. As long as the population of the world continues growing, Coca-Cola is going to continue growing. It's just the reality of it, right? It stood the test of time. It has a superior taste compared to all the other beverages out there, right? All the other cola beverages out there. I mean, there were companies like Pepsi, companies like Tab, RC Cola, and they all tried to knock them out, but they couldn't, because the secret recipe to Coca-Cola has stood the test of time. Another company that has stood the test of time is something called IBM, right? IBM is one of the first high-tech companies that existed in the world. They go back to the 1920s, even earlier than that. And it's really a superb company that has just stood the test of time. Now, had they have certain years that they weren't so successful? Yeah. But over time, they've been a very consistent company. Now, they're not like a company like Microsoft or Google or one of these type of companies like Netflix or even Nvidia. But over time, they've given you a certain steady income. And I would argue that that's much better than having these jolts of these type of Bitcoin or internet bubbles or any one of these type of just boom and bust kind of businesses. Because as a business owner, okay, you ask any business owner, the best chart that they want to see is something that's diagonally. They don't want to see something that spikes up, because they know if something spikes up, it's going to come right down, okay? But you want to see something diagonally. I think if you take that and what the market does, okay, and how the market reacts, in our personal lives, we also want to do that. We also want to have a diagonal growth as opposed to a spike and then we crash and then a spike and we crash. That's not going to get us anywhere. But we want to have a gradual, moving higher and higher as we get better at everything that we do in life, okay? It could be relationships, could be, anything, okay? I've discussed this a million times with you guys, but this is really an important lesson, because it's really important that you stick to a plan. And by sticking to the plan, you're actually controlling your future. But if you try to control your future, this is the flip side of it, and this is kind of the catch-22. If you try to control the future by doing things in order to control it, it catches you, right? And you're not able to catch and control the future. But if you let go of the future and you just focus in on the moment, on the present, you're able to really overcome some of those hurdles and really just focus on the journey. And that's all it's about. At the end of the day, that's success. Thank you for joining me for this Motivational Monday. We'll see you here next week.